got shot.
It was life and death.
Somebody's killed your son.
I think both sides have to come together.
When it comes to African-American men, we only get the mug shot.
You know, it's abnormal.
Was it really worth it?
You gotta be the tough guy.
Tim Jackson presents How to Kill a Black Man, available on Amazon Prime Direct. This is the No More OGs podcast. From controversial topics to creating financial freedom, we will talk to real people about real situations, providing real solutions. No celebrity endorsements, bringing you unfiltered discussions, dope interviews, and giving you the blueprint to create the culture that you will be proud of. So kick back, turn up the volume, and let's get to it. Here's your host, yours truly, Mr. Purpose on Demand, Mr. Retired at 37, Mr. Tim Jackson. What's up, everyone? It's your man, Tim Jackson. This is the No More OGs podcast. I'm your host, and I am so excited to have my guest here today. Before we get into who the guest is, be sure to click and download and watch the documentary Tim Jackson Presents How to Kill a Black Man, available now on Amazon. You guys just saw the preview of the documentary. It is life-changing, you guys. It's only like a 56-minute documentary, and then the rest of it is credits and intros. You guys, everyone who has watched this documentary has cried, even the men. Some of y'all are some tough guys. Y'all be in the background crying. You're going to cry in the car like Red said. But it's also life-changing, so let's change lives together. But listen, enough about that. I am so excited today about my guest. I actually met my guest 2 weeks ago at an end-of-the-year event for Pipeline to Possibilities with Judge Kelly, Judge Green, and a few other judges. I'm drawing a blank right now, but I know who y'all are, so if y'all watch this, don't send a text to me and cuss me out. But it was a year-end event, and she spoke, and man, she was on a panel, and I just loved her story. Many of you from Dallas may know who she is, but she is the first woman Olympic gold medalist for the shot put. I'm talking about and all women. She's the first gold medalist too, all right? And I'll let her tell you more about her story, but I'm going to present to some, and I'm going to introduce to others Miss Michelle Carter. What's good?
Nothing much. I'm excited to be here today.
You know what? I'm so glad that you came. You know, I'm like a success, love, speed type of guy. So when I meet people and I say I want to collaborate with you and talk with you, like that's exactly what I mean. So I'm glad you're here. I was so impressed by just your resume. So, you know, for those who don't know you, who are new to you, like tell them who you are, where you're from. Tell them a little bit about your story. You don't have to do the elevator pitch. We need to know who you are.
He said the elevator pitch.
You know what I'm talking about. See, on this podcast, we ramble, okay? Because I be rambling my butt off, right? So we're going to see how comfortable she gets, because y'all know I cuss. So we're going to try to get her a little bit comfortable. You know, it's my goal to get everybody to say one cuss word. But y'all check this out. Tell us who you are, where you from, and give us your story. What's up?
Well, my name is Michelle Carter. I am a 3-time Olympian, 2016 Olympic gold medalist. Ooh. I am the first American woman to win gold in women's shot put. And I was currently the American record holder, but my record has just been broken.
Oh, man.
And so I was a little upset about that, but records are meant to be broken. I broke somebody else's record. They came back and broke mine, but it's all good. So now I am an entrepreneur. I am a motivational speaker. I have a nonprofit called One Golden Shot. I run a girls camp called You Throw Girls Sports Confidence Camp, and you know, we make life happen. You
know, it's funny you say, you know, records are meant to be broken, because they are. You know, those records aren't forever, but the fact that you held it is pretty dope. How long did you hold on to it?
Man, so I broke the record twice.
Okay.
So I think I first broke it maybe in 2010.
Okay.
Then I broke it again in 2016.
So you got the third and the second best record right now. They just broke yours. So
yeah.
Next to them is you and you.
Yeah.
Hey, me versus me, huh?
Me all day.
Okay. That's what's up. So where you from?
I'm from Red Oak. Okay. Technically, now I was born in Cali.
What part?
San Jose.
Okay.
So I have a little bit of that Valley girl in me, just a little bit, and then
that's semi-Bay Area, right?
Yeah, I mean they call it the Bay. They call it the Bay.
I got my family's from the Bay, so you know I'm all along that I-80 stretch. You know, Sacramento, Vallejo, Vacaville, Fairfield, Suisun City, all those cities between there, and pretty much San Francisco. Family in Richmond, Oakland, you know, Pittsburgh,
right?
All of them. So I'm very familiar with that area. But
so that's
got your own vibe out there in San Jose, though.
You know, I haven't been out there in so long.
Yeah.
So I think I'm Texan. To me, I'm Texan. So to Texans, I don't sound like I'm from Texas.
Yeah.
And from people in Cali, I sound like I'm from Texas. So I catch it both ways.
I remember going out there. I remember the first time I went to California, I was like 5 or 6 years old. And I called my grandmother, Grandma. and like she was just loving the fact that, oh, he's the only grandchild I know that calls me grandma. It's such a Southern thing, you know.
What they call them out there?
They called her Nana, which I've never ever called her Nana.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, it's just, you know, that felt like a California thing. So I was
Yeah.
like, you grandma to me. Yeah. So, but tell us more. So you moved to Texas, and then what? Like, where'd you go to school?
Yeah, so I went to Red Oak High School.
Okay.
And so I graduated there in 2003. Went to the University of Texas.
Okay,
Hook 'em
hook 'em.
horns. And then I graduated there in 2007. And I moved back to Dallas and was training professionally ever since.
That's dope. And you said that you have your nonprofit and you are speaking these days. So what does that look like? Because, you know, a lot of people transition. I've had the opportunity to work with a few professional athletes, and some of them transition well and some of them don't. The women tend to do a lot better than the men because a lot of the men have dreams and goals to play that sport forever, and no one really taught them how to be a professional in many cases, from some of my clients at least. And so I have this thing where I say that in the black community, we raise our girls and we coddle our boys, you know, because our girls tend to have, you know, all the resources and the knowledge and information. Our boys tend to be coddled or protected, however you want to look at that. And we can go down that rabbit hole later. But like, how has it been, you know, to transition from professional athlete to professional?
It's hard. I'm not going to lie. I thought I had a better grasp on it than I did.
Yeah.
Because I've always had aspirations outside of track and field. I knew that this profession had an expiration date. And so I had a whole bunch of things lined up. But then I hear from my other friends, I have friends that play sports and like different sports and football, track, basketball. And they talk about the depression that kind of seeps in in transition. I'm like, that would never happen to me. I got too much going on. But you find yourself sitting there like, what? Yeah. So what do I do now? How do I do this? And you necessarily don't have the same blueprint that you had, knowing how sports go and the season of that and the flow of that.
Yes,
and so blueprint. And so then now here I am. I have to write a whole new blueprint, trying to figure out what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to go get a 9-to-5. What's that? I don't want that. What oh
no, you'll never work a 9-to-5. You're gonna work an 18 to 6.
Yeah, so sometimes a 24 hour.
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, it's an 18 to 6. No, let's park right there.
Okay.
Because the gentleman by the name of Reggie Calhoun Jr. Shout out to Reggie. His episode just came on a few episodes ago. He has a college. And so he talks about the transition of the collegiate athlete and how, you know, in the documentary, he talks about how many of them have to go back home and be a has-been. You know, they left, they had all these high expectations when they were younger. They were always the best at everything. They went off to college and they did okay. Probably not as much success as you achieved, but we say it on this show, that's typically extraordinary success. Like, and then there's extraordinary work that goes into that too, but we'll get into that later. But many of them come home and they're still chasing that high, that adrenaline. So many of them get into sales, albeit insurance, real estate. But there's this depression that sets in, like, I'm not who I thought I was going to be. And from there, it's literally 50-50. Like, either they succeed or they don't, and they fail super hard. Like, can you speak to, one, the importance of having a strong foundation? Because you come from a strong foundation, I hope, and I want you to talk about that. Yeah. But two, understanding, like, how to navigate through that when the depression sets in, when the uncertainty sets in, when you are walking into a dark room that you have no clue what's on the other side of that door, but you have to perform because this is a make or break situation for you.
Man, it's different because you don't really know what to do. And you're like, should I do this? Because now I don't trust myself. Why I don't trust myself is because I don't have the same confidence because I've never been here before.
Damn, that's the first cuss word. I don't know her audience, y'all, but I cuss a little bit. Talk about that, because the uncertainty of not knowing what's going to happen makes 99% of the people never go.
Yeah. It's
yeah, we finna have some therapy.
I know,
now.
right?
Yeah. So
it's a different, it's a weird space. It's a space I'm familiar with, but familiar in a field that I know that I'm in. Yeah. So I know what the couple of outcomes. I know how this could possibly play out in one area of my life. But on this other side, I don't know what it's going to look like, because now not only am I retired, recently divorced, and have a whole child that I inherited, and then now we're going through a recession. And now you have all these things like prices is going up. And I'm sitting here like, okay, I don't make the same money I used to make. Now I have to reevaluate how I spend money, how I just live life in general. So I'm over here reevaluating everything about me, and I don't have the same confidence to make the same decisions because I don't have the same resources. And so now it's like I have to almost forget everything I used to know and relearn who I am now and how I need to operate in the life I'm in now, not the life I used to have.
That's so real. You know, when I transitioned from full-time entrepreneur, from corporate to full-time entrepreneur is almost identical. You know, I went through a really tough breakup of a long-term relationship. I had to start over completely. And one of the things I realized is that I had to downsize my life.
Right.
Because while I was making really good money, you know, 2 incomes is always going to be better than 1. And so I had to mentally tell myself, okay, I have to learn how to create an opportunity for myself, how to make some money, but also how to put myself in a position where if I'm ever back into a long-term relationship, I want it to where we only live off 1 income, and it's the lesser of the 2. Man, I rented out my house, sold my cars. Like I literally downsized everything to make sure that I could keep as much money as I could. Got rid of a ton of debt. Like it was a complete paradigm shift, and it was the most terrifying thing that I had ever did in my life. Those first 3 or 4 months. And then by month 5, it was on cruise control. And from there, like the rest was history. And walking into rooms, like knowing that I had the confidence because I was a trainer. I was a corporate trainer. So I knew how to speak. I would walk into rooms full of people that I didn't know. When a corporate, I was on the team that launched the very first Android device in the United States.
Wow. So
I traveled around the world, the United States, taught, how to do it. And I'm walking into rooms where I don't know these people, but I was good at that. Now I have to be good at being a real estate broker. Now I have to be good about getting my own clients because in corporate, they send you people.
Right.
Now I have to be good at following up, having systems in place, which I was terrible at. Listen.
Ooh.
That, plus keep the lights on, plus keep food on the table. I have a son. At the time, he was, 5 or 4? He was 3. And it's just like, he still got to see daddy being daddy.
Right.
He still got to, he has a certain quality of life that he was used to, believe it or not, at 3. I have a certain quality of life I'm used to. We had to figure it out. And it's a weird space to be in, but I also understand that it's very necessary for your growth. Right? Because here I am. I grew up in the family that I grew up in. By the way, my dad, he played in the NFL for 9 years with San Francisco 49ers, 3 Super Bowl rings. He has a silver Olympic medal in the 1984 Olympic Games. In men's shot put, he's the national high school shot put record holder at 81 feet 3 inches. His name is Michael Carter. You know, Michelle Carter, Michael Carter. I'm the firstborn. You come from some good stock.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
SMU Michael Carter, right?
Yes, it is.
I know a little bit. I know a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
He did a quick Wikipedia search.
I was Googling my ass off before she came. No, I'm kidding. I knew. We talked about it before.
Right.
I mean, the only thing against him that I got to give him a little bit of break. You know, it's a 49er instead of a Cowboy.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
That's a Dallas issue. Dallas should have drafted him because if we were living here in Dallas, I'd probably be a hot mess. I ain't going to lie because I would be Dallas royalty right about now. What?
Dallas. Yeah, I love my Cowboys. I have a love-hate relationship with the Dallas Cowboys. Like, I can talk bad about them, but you
cannot.
You know what I'm saying? And so we've passed up on a lot of people. I'm still a little bit upset. No, I ain't going to say that. Because I'm going to probably be in front of some of these people soon. So let me just keep my peace. I'll tell you off camera. But yeah. Right. But go ahead.
But so I grew up a certain kind of way.
Yeah. And
which is a whole other topic we could talk about a little later or another day, is that how black people are raised is different.
Oh, let's talk. No. Oh, yeah, she don't know. It's her first time. We just met. She don't know how we get down. So we talk about black issues specifically to recreate a new culture. Like my whole job in life, my purpose in life is to dismantle what black people call culture. Because what we call culture, I call it the culture that kills. You know,
right.
Get high, get drunk, fuck bitches, kill niggas. Don't save your money, don't invest. I'm a history major, grad level, so I understand the role that systematic racism, white supremacy played in the foundation of how we do things. I also understand that we have access to a lot of technology,
a button there,
a lot of information, and now we're allowing that system to operate on cruise control.
Right.
So my thing is, I call out the bullshit. I hold people accountable. You can call me a coon, whatever you want to. I put more money. Wait for it. I always do this on every show. Hundreds of thousands of dollars into my community, specifically for black boys. So if you want to call me a name, let's stack the resumes, and we can pull up any time on that. So with that being said, talk about that, because black people need to have this conversation with other black people. We need to be comfortable with talking about this. We have this thing in our culture where we suffer in silence.
Yeah.
We can do all the nigga shit and the fool shit in front of everybody. But when it's time to hurt, when it's time to grow, when it's time to suffer, when it's time to heal, we want to do that in silence. Right. Not anymore.
No. Every black person doesn't grow up in the hood.
That's a fact.
Every black person doesn't have the struggle of lights being cut off and never having food and not having everything that they need. I lived a very comfortable life growing up. We didn't have to worry about lights getting cut off. We didn't have to worry about not having what we needed and most of what we wanted. Right? I didn't have those struggles. But my parents also knew better to not spoil us and make us rotten. You know, so we had a good balance. I'm
going through that right now with my son, William. You know, I love William. I know he'll watch this one day. Right now, you know, some things are up in the air with William right now. You know, I'm kind of putting him through the fire, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I have to explain to William all the time, if you have dental insurance and you live in an area where there's an HOA and you know, both of your parents have degrees. Like you've never struggled. I didn't struggle. My mother worked for the post office for 40 years, so we lived comfortable, right? We weren't rich, but we didn't struggle, right? And so I made choices to ingrain myself or to include myself into the hood nigga shit, and then I learned really quickly that life wasn't for me. Thankfully, to my uncles, my stepfather, men in my community who was like, bro, this is not, everybody can't be them. And you're not meant to be that. So stop trying to be that and go be who you were meant to be. And so I'm all about that struggle. I hate when I see that we cling to that struggle shit. And as long as you cling to it, that's going to be your life. Yeah. I call it out.
Yeah, and I think part of it is a lot of things at play. I'm not going to say, you know, we know there's a lot of things at play. No, we're going to talk about it. I'm saying there's a lot of things at play because not only is that part of our culture, we keep being told that's our culture. So even if you didn't grow up in that, you're told that that's the black struggle.
Talk about
that's the black story. You have to know what this means. No, y'all, I ain't never struggled. I struggle probably now in this moment just making sure I make ends meet, but I still ain't missed no meal. I ain't never had to go to bed with no lights and no water and no food. I just struggle to not do the things I always want to do that I'm accustomed to doing to how I used to once live according to the amount of money I once used to make.
Yeah, she's staying at the Sheridan instead of the Ritz. That's all.
Right? Yeah. So the things are just different. And but that was never my story. And so I don't know how we even got here and where we was going with this.
That's what we do on this show. We get here. That's where this show always go. People that watch the show like, get into it.
Like, I don't know how we got here, but I didn't grow up with that traditional black struggle. My dad is from Oak Cliff, yes, but I'm not. My mom grew up in North Dallas next door to Highland Park, but it was the hood, that Elam Thicket, right? But my mom grew up in a single parent home, and my grandmother believed in quality over quantity. So my mama grew up with nice stuff because my grandmother worked and saved. And so I was taught that from my mom. And then my dad grew up in Oak Cliff and they do their thing. So my parents may have that background to a certain degree, but I don't. But my dad grew up in a 2-parent household. Yeah. Both of my grandparents were educated on his side of the family. On my mom's side, there weren't, but they both did well for themselves and took care of their families the best way as possible. And so I grew up a certain type of way that isn't what is told that most people. So people want to know, did you have a sad background?
It's not the stereotype, Michelle.
It's not.
And what happens is, and I'm constantly breaking those barriers, like I'm the guy who will tell you if you're not black, like, don't put me in a box. You know, like I talked about in the last, show how when I go somewhere, if I'm in line and a white person's in line in front of me and a white person's checking them out, if they say, okay, sir, thank you, have a nice day, and it comes up to me, hey, what's going on, my man? No. No. My money is green. My platinum card is platinum.
Right.
You gonna call me sir too. I don't care how many tattoos I got on my arm. I'm not your man. I'm not your boy. I'm not your bro. I'm a paying customer. I used to check people so much about that too. I felt like that was the axe that I was grinding because I'm a professional.
Right.
You know, I always tell the story about how, you know, I went to go train somebody. I went to go train with the company I was working with, and the guy walks in. He's just shaking everybody's hand. Hey, what's going on? How you doing, sir? How you doing? He gets to me, my man. How you doing, brother? And I'm like, I mean, we're at work. I said, no, we're not going to do that.
Was he black?
No, he wasn't black.
Oh, see now.
But he felt that the need, and I have a few. I know some white folks, and we joke about it. You know, like, bro, I think that some of us just be nervous, and we be trying to find a commonality.
I believe
and I'm
that.
like, I get it, but I don't.
Not today.
Because
not on this.
We
one.
in the same tax bracket. I probably make a little bit more than you, and I try to be funny. Like, respect me, man. Like, and if I want to walk around with my tats showing, that doesn't mean that you degrade me. It doesn't mean that you reduce me because you feel like I should have a certain experience that fits your paradigm of me.
Yeah, but also too, like, we're the cool ones.
We cool as hell.
They want to be like, oh, I'm down for the cause. I'm cool. Like, look what I can say. Look what I can do. You know, but
what they say again? What they do?
Look what I can do. Like,
hey, y'all, when she threw the hands up, I had to get her, man. Y'all know I'm petty. No, that's real. That's real. And you know what? It's really just a conversation of understanding. You know, I find that people don't get offended when they're willing to learn.
Yeah, no, not at all. And you be willing to help others learn. Because during the pandemic, I have had some conversations and I posted some things that spoke very strongly in what I believe, but in a very respectable, from love, but let me call you out type of way. Yeah. That had definitely had some hard conversations that people had to have amongst themselves and with their family members, and had to come back and gave me actually some really good, like, thank you for saying what you said, because my mom was racist and I kept telling her she was racist and she keeps telling me that she's not, but then she loves you, and then when you called out some of the stuff that people like her say, and she said how you said it and how you put it together, she saw herself in that and she couldn't believe that she was actually racist, but she didn't really know, because she was like, look, I like black people, I like her. Oh,
that's racist as hell when you say it like that.
I know, but in their minds, they're like, no, like, I do like some black people. Yeah. That counts, right?
Michelle comes over to the house all the time.
I love Michelle, but at the same time, when people say that, especially with someone with my background, it's different because I almost transcend race in a way.
You do, and let's talk about that. Like I throw you a oop, you catch and slam, and you throw me. So athletes and entertainers, transcend race.
Yeah.
Why? Because you are a public figure.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, specifically, if you go to a big school like Texas or any major state school, you know, the athletes, the superior athletes in the track and field, your basketball, your baseball, we just call it those big three.
So you didn't even call football. How
football?
Dare you?
I'm sorry, I said football too. I don't know why. I don't know how I missed football. So track and field, baseball, basketball, football. I'm sorry. It's typically going to be black people.
Yeah.
And those black people, whether you're at an Alabama who would never have a black quarterback, 10 years ago.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, ever. And even Texas. Texas has its history in them too.
Oh.
Yeah. They trying to get y'all trying to get y'all song changed forever, right?
I was at school when Vince Young became quarterback.
Oh, so yeah, I remember that too.
It was not pretty.
It wasn't pretty. I watched and followed Vince Young because he came along that time when we graduated the same thing. I think he graduated 01 or 02. I graduated 01. Yeah. But it's like, now it's like, oh, this is Vince Young. This is my friend. This is my buddy. It's okay for us to, some people get really familiar with you, right?
Right.
And the athlete transcends that because you are representation of them and you're winning for them, or if you're losing, if you go to A&M, you're losing for them. Just taking a little jab at A&M, nothing personal. But after that, what about Vince Young's cousins? What about the people he grew up with? Mm-hmm. And then he's still an athlete. You're still an athlete. So then you get lumped into this category of, the reason that you're here is because.
Oh my goodness. I can't even tell you how many times. Where'd you go to school? Oh, I went to the University of Texas. Oh, you must have played sports.
You must have.
You must have played sports. And it makes me embarrassed sometimes. Here I have this gift because not only that I just got into the University of Texas because I was good and I played sports, I was the best female shot putter in the nation coming out of high school. I broke the national high school record 6 times when I graduated. I said, so I had the choice to go anywhere I wanted to go. I chose Texas. So if I have a gift, and my parents had put money aside for me to go to school, but they was like, if you're going to go earn some money, go get some free money. I can do that. I have the right to do that. And I'm going to take that free money. And so, but that whole notion like, oh, The only reason why you got there, there was a reason why you had to.
So anyone who follows the show knows that I was a trash athlete. Like, I played baseball. Baseball is the only sport I played. I was terrible at basketball, terrible at football. I didn't run track, but I'm 6'2". 200 plus pounds. I look athletic to some people, right? Yeah, I'm losing all this weight now. Y'all heard that? She said barely, so she can see it. But I would go places, and they were like, "What sport did you play?"
Right.
And it's like, bro, I have a master's degree.
Right.
Why are we leading with the fact that I'm in this room because I play sports? I ain't even play sports. I was trash.
That's a whole nother story, because naturally, this based off of history and how we were, quote unquote, bred in the U.S., we're going to be bigger, taller, stronger than most, because that's who survived. From slave descendants. Like, we trace my family all the way back to Pineapple, Alabama. And as a slave, the strongest and fittest survived. So you're going to get a certain breed of people just because based off of how things were played out for you.
Things were played out. And we ain't going to get too deep into it. Y'all family was probably here before the ships got here, but that's another podcast. Yeah, that's a whole nother. A lot of times they like to take our history just back to the ships, but what people don't realize is that only 10% of the slaves came to North America. Most of them went to the islands in South America. But to your point, they did breed us. They would take the biggest, buck, if you will, and put them with the biggest doe, if you will, and they would breed big slaves, because the United States, when they stopped shipping them, they started breeding them. So now you have people that are bigger and stronger by nature, and that's just what it was.
Just because.
But that's real. So that's real, man. Like, you hitting a lot of points right here, because do you ever think that's going to change? Do you ever think that we're going to get to a point in society where a non-black person will address you initially based off of what you're coming to the table with, not based off of the paradigm they have of you?
Yes. And I say that because one main reason, these kids are different. And hip hop is now a generation's music.
Okay.
And that is helping transcend a lot of different things to where once before hip hop was black music, and which is crazy because black hip hop is only 50 years old, but now it's transcended in such a way that these kids underneath us, they grew up with hip hop being part of their everyday lives. And so now they look at people of color differently than how we were taught. And then that's not even go to the people before us. And for me, in a lot of ways, some people just gotta die for some things to change, because they try to keep the traditions alive just because they want it to be how it always been, not what it is now. But these kids are different. They see things different. They have a commonality that they share that's totally different from us, because they grew up with social media. They grew up with technology, where we grew up in the world where we got technology and stuff in college. Millennials
are the last of a dying breed. We witnessed the internet.
Typewriters, and the computers, payphones, right? Cell phones, beepers,
all that. Like, we've witnessed everything come to fruition. My son,
right?
He was born into that, right? Yeah. So, it's interesting you say that, because, my son went to school out in Plano for a while. We ended up moving him out of there, and we brought him to Dallas. He went to a preparatory school. Now he's at a pretty good school. And it's really diverse. And I'll never forget the first time he walked into his classroom in Dallas. He was shocked. It was like a culture shock to him, because he was always used to being the only black kid.
Right.
He had never had a non-white teacher. And it was just a culture shock. Well, now that's just not in a city like Dallas, or even the southern suburbs, the Red Oaks, the Duncanvilles, the Sotos, and Lancasters, like, that's common. So now these kids are growing up. They're not?
Well, when I was in Red Oak.
Nah, you was back there when you was back there when Red Oak was, if you lived in Red Oak.
It was a different story.
And then y'all got two counties.
We was passing through cotton fields to passing by. It was nothing but cotton in Red Oak when I was in school. But okay,
and then Red Oak is two counties. So you got isn't it Ellis County and Dallas County?
No, it should all be Ellis.
There's not a part of Red Oak that's because I've sold houses out there.
Oh, it might be the part that touches Lancaster.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like that's Dallas. But still,
it might be.
Red Oak it wasn't that diverse. Within the last 10 years, it got a little bit more.
You see more diversity on the fields, of course, in the field of sport.
So bad.
Oh, when I was in school, if you was not the normal, common black, the known black, you got pulled over at night.
Yeah, Red Oak,
Like,
man.
it was bad.
I hope it's getting a little bit better. I sold the house. A friend of mine, he's an Army veteran, did 20 years in the Army. He's a 49er fan too.
Right.
And he said, I don't know if it's my 49er tags.
Well, that could be it too. They're like, wait a minute, we know one 49er here. What are you doing?
Yeah. I said, I don't know if it's my 49er tags because I'm so dark, but I'm always
No, but that's DeSoto, that's Lancaster,
It's all of them.
that's Red Oak, that's Highland Park.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of areas around here that is known just to be pulling over people for the sake of pulling over people.
Yeah.
Arlington, Texas. I know I feel like we're just going all over.
No,
I was
that's
so
what we do.
nervous one day. I got pulled over because there were some things that happened with the Arlington police. And I got pulled over one night because my headlight was out. I've never been so nervous and scared in my whole entire life. And I've been pulled over before, and I can not only handle it just fine, but I had, like, my heart was beating. I was, like, beating hard. I was breathing, like, my breathing changed. And I was like, oh, my God, like, I don't know what's about to happen. It is midnight. Like, I'm not even supposed to be outside this late. You know, like, I'm going through all these things in my mind. Like, I just messed up by being outside in my car at midnight with one headlight. I'm going to jail. Like that.
and that's we're gonna talk about that. And I want to talk about something else because you said something about the conversation you had with your friend during the pandemic. But that's real. You know, when I lived in Plano, they used to pull me over a lot. I mean, they used to pull me over for anything, and I remember thinking to myself, like, man, I served my country. Like,
Right.
You know, like at some point in the game, y'all gonna have to look past the fact that your suspicions of who's driving this car is just not right. You know, out there they would do the things where they would pull you over and say they smell something in the car because, you know, of course, smell is ambiguous. You can't smell anything on the camera.
Right.
You know, so so that gives them the right to search your car. And it's just like, all right, again, you know, do what you got to do. You ain't going to find nothing. I got to be at work at 7, so can y'all wrap this up?
Right.
But that's a lot of people's experiences because you place us all in a box.
Yeah, we got to check our biases, and that's everybody, because we judge people just by what we're told stereotypes are. And
Black people do it to each other too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I said, we, meaning all of us,
Absolutely.
have to check it because we do it to each other. You seen some people, they look a certain type of way, they talk a certain type of way. You be like, oh, you from the hood. Like, I know your kind. And you assume all these horrible things about them before you even had the chance to know them. You put them in a box that doesn't set them up to be successful.
Let me play devil's advocate on that because affluent Black people will do that to Black people too. Like, they'll see you as being, oh, you one of them niggas. You know, I ain't gonna call nobody out by name. I'm sure they'll watch this one day. But you know, I have one of my son's friends, like, the mom just doesn't warm up to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just like, you know, kind of paying attention to how she move a little bit. I realize, like, she don't really fool with Black people like that at all. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, you know, the dad is cool. You know, dad's, you know, he's not Black and he cool than a fan. But the mom is
the mom Black?
Yeah, she Black. But she just don't fuck with Black folks. Like you can tell
like,
she don't.
Because you remind her of somebody. That's all. You remind her of someone she used to know.
Somebody, man.
You do.
I'm so nice to her. I'm like, hey. And
she's like,
and I just finally
look, Deshaun.
Say, man, like, and you know me, I'm anytime I'm dealing with somebody's kids, because I have a nonprofit organization, I go over and above to make sure that this parent knows that their child is going to be safe around me. You know, not because of anything other than the point that I'm a man with integrity. Right. But a lot of times affluent Black people, even I've been in places before where Black people just won't talk to me. I went somewhere one time, this dude, he would not say anything to me. And he was all, you know, brushed up suit, you know, looked pretty good. Right. And then when he found out that I was in the same fraternity he was in, oh, hey, brother. And I'm just like, whoa. Let's take a step back. Before you knew I was in the same fraternity, you know, as my drill sergeant would say, you know, you wouldn't piss on my teeth if my mouth was on fire. Right. You know, like, why is it that I have to be a certain type of person or fit a certain type of paradigm for you to even talk to me? We the same.
Yeah, so First of all, when people who are in those places and spaces who have quote unquote made it or have something, they operate from a scarcity mindset because if you come in, you're gonna take what they built because they like being the only one. They think there's all these things that only they can get. Now, if you come, now I gotta share what I got with you, and there's not enough for both of us. When actually there's more than enough for everybody. Number one,
and then specifically where we live, there's 100 times more.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in corporate, I was always one of the few black male managers, and if there was a black male manager, they would never mentor me.
Right.
Like I only had one black male manager my entire corporate career take the time to pull me aside and say, "Hey, I want you to take my job."
Yeah, because they know that you gonna take their job, but that's the natural. You're gonna age out.
Well, his
you
thing
gotta
was,
retire.
I can't get promoted until I find a replacement.
Right. There you go. Oh, see, there you go.
And so, and then let me show you how that works. He carried me along at one company. Then he got at another company. Called me just randomly. I'll never forget. I was at home. I was on my ass, y'all. Like I always been a money maker. I've always done stuff, but I was just in a situation where like, man, I'm eating, ramen noodles. I was the Bubba Gump of ramen noodles. We had ramen noodle shrimp, ramen noodle bologna. And I was like, I'll never forget, man. I was like, I prayed. I was like, God, please, like, I'm not used to this. Like, I'm not, my struggle is far exceeds what some people's is, but I'm just not used to this. And I kid you not, man, within 5 minutes, like, I got a random call from my old manager. He's like, hey, bro, you want a job? I'm hiring some people at the bank. And
like, yes.
I was like, how did you know? You know what I'm saying? And so fast forward, he got out of banking and got into real estate because of me. Mm-hmm. I hired his wife first, and I told him, I said, bro, you should be a home inspector. I said, you're so attention to detail oriented. You could make $1 million in home inspection.
Right.
He got his home inspection license. The dude is a millionaire.
That's
of
awesome.
Home inspection. But just imagine if he would have gatekeeped.
Yeah. And that's what people understand. Like, listen, it hurts to keep than to give.
Yeah.
Actually, when you keep what they say, like when you're trying to hold on tight for something,
your fish, you can't receive a blessing.
No, yeah, because there's something actually bigger. But if you don't let go to what you currently have, you can't get what's next, and that's on you at the end of the day. So you think you're doing yourself a favor, you're actually doing more harm than good because you can never get to the next level by holding on to the position you have now and not allowing others to come in. But I did want to say this when you were talking about. How people come up and talk to you once they realize, oh, okay. So we
all have a story like that.
Yeah, listen, I went to ESPNW and they have this summit where they have all these C-suite executives come to this retreat. Retreat was amazing. I'm like, I gotta go back there because it was really nice hotel. Like, oh my goodness, it was nice. Like, I ain't gonna lie, my background from speaking and how I got into it, I'm a bougie speaker. Yeah. Because I speak at nice places. Yeah. So when y'all come to me with these like other prices, I be like, you want me to stay where? But anyways, so you
ain't got to ever explain hotels. I'm the most bougie, and I've created two bougie people. My wife and my son are so hotel bougie now. Like my wife will go onto the website to see what the bathroom looks like, and if the bathroom ain't don't look so much, she's like, "We're not staying there."
I need to see what your bathroom look like, and I need you gotta have room service for me. Yeah, like if the hotel doesn't have room service, then it's pretty much a motel in my mind. But
anything that ends with N. We don't, and that ain't y'all. We not trying to flex. I'm telling you, it's obtainable. It is. Everybody ain't struggling, and you too, cannot struggle. Go ahead. So you get to ESPNW. So I get to
ESPNW. I am a panelist at this event, and so of course they showing me all the things, and I get to just experience and pop my head in anywhere I want to go. I got my little badge.
Up in Bristol? Was it up in Bristol?
We were somewhere in California, close to San Diego, some like golf resort. Okay. Like it was something like that, and so I'm sitting and listening to the different sessions, and I go to a table and I'm sitting by myself. I don't know anybody there. Right. I came alone, so I'm sitting there and I'm waiting. People come and sit at the table around me, but these people didn't talk to me. And the women and. Unfortunately, at events like this, when you have C-suite women, it's not a lot of women of color, unless you particularly go to a black woman C-suite conference, which I've done. And so no one's speaking to me. They're, barely saying hi, and we're sitting down at the same table eating. And so it was finally my day and time to get on stage. I get on stage and we're talking about black women in sports and we're talking about hair, and which was a whole confusing situation. Like, why are we talking about this with them? But anyways.
They'll always talk about that.
Yeah. So we're having that conversation, and then they was like, any last words you want to say? And I was like, yes. I said, to all of those who sat at my table with me all weekend and didn't say one single word to me, I said, please do not speak to me when I get off this panel. And I said it with a straight face.
Oh, now you're an angry black woman.
No, and I said, and the reason why I wanted to say that out loud, I said, because I saw some of you all who sat at the table with me when I got on stage, you started pointing and was like, that's the girl. And like you saying like, that's the girl we sat with. We didn't know she was a panelist. Of course they did. It didn't matter if I was a panelist or not. I was a human being sitting at your table by myself. The polite thing to do was to say, hello, how are you? Where are you from?
At least.
What company are you with?
Yeah.
Why? Because we're at a company, at an event where everyone here is supposed to be C-suite women. So out of respect, assume I'm supposed to be here. And so that's what I said. I said, so when you see me, your guesses, and you had all these assumptions about me, and that made you did not want to speak to me. Now that you realize I have a title, that I am somebody, now you want a picture. Now you want to exchange information. No, do not talk to me.
That's gonna go viral. I'm putting some ad revenue behind that one. But that is the realest shit I've heard in a long time. I always speak to when I was a zoning commissioner in Dallas. And I'll never forget going up to the city of Dallas one day, and I had on a short sleeve shirt. My tattoos were, I think I had on some like sweatpants, some Jordans. And I went up there to go drop some stuff off and pick some stuff up. And no one spoke to me. I went the next day for the public hearing. Hey, Commissioner Jackson, how you doing? It's just like, I was just here yesterday. But I guess in the glimpse of your eyes, you saw somebody walking up and you just put your head down. Like me, I speak to everybody.
Right.
I'm that guy, because you never know what a person's going through.
Right.
You know, I've been speaking openly about this now. You know, my mother's been ill all year long. I've been her primary caregiver. Shout out to my sister who moved back from Florida to help me, and my niece and nephew and everyone, and my other cousins who have helped. But that has been the most stressful thing, the most depressing, any emotion you can possibly imagine. I've experienced it this year, right? And you know what? Some of my best days are when I talk to a random stranger. When a random stranger says, hey, you doing all right? Or they can feel my energy. Everything good with you? Like, yeah, I'm kind of, well, come on, let's talk about it. It's people that I've known my whole life. There's people that have texted me like, hey, man, I ain't heard from you. What's going on? Hey, can you come out to my party this weekend? Oh, my mom's sick. And they don't even respond back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm good enough to come party with you and get on social media and we can take pictures and tag. But when I say, hey, man, my mom is sick, I can't make it. A simple, man, I hope that she does better. There's people I've been fucking with for years that still haven't sent me a text back saying, man, I hope everything's all right.
Listen.
Ain't that crazy?
It's crazy, but you realize who's really for you and who's not for you. And when you realize it, you have to believe it.
Say, whoa. You're not skipping over that. We're going to get to my story about the pandemic in a minute. You're not skipping over that. You said you have to realize who's for you and who's against you. And when you realize it, you have to believe it. What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, because sometimes you have this emotional attachment to people just because you've known them from a long time and y'all have had good times together. But then when stuff get real, or when you realize I kind of really need a little bit more support, and these people are never to be found. They don't come over, they don't call unless it's for a good time or they can get something from you, or if they need you, but you can never need them. They don't show up when it really matters to you. They show up when they know it's going to be a good time and you're going to take care of it. And then when you start realizing and you give them excuses, well, they don't make a lot of money. Well, you know what? They got kids and they just needed a break. So when they get a break, they want to come and do something fun. You make all the excuses for them, but then you really look back and realize they really wasn't your friend from jump.
I would say it a different way. How many cuss words have I did? Because
I don't know. I did. You had a few.
They really weren't fucking with you like that.
No, they was not.
You were a benefit. I was a benefit to them.
I was a benefit.
I was the person that showed up and bailed them out. I was the person that did everything for them, and I being you as well. And then when you have to come to that conclusion, you literally go through a death. It's like mourning a death, because it's like the 5 stages of grief. First, you're shocked. Then I'm shocked. I'm angry. I try to rationalize with it. I finally accept it, and it's the other one I probably missed over. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I've gone through that. This has been the year of revelation for me. Like,
you listen, you and I both. Because why? I've been divorced now for 2 years.
Yeah.
That's a death.
That is a death.
I retired. That's a death.
That's a death.
The pandemic happened. That's a death because life as we now used to know it is now different.
It's different.
I said, so here I am. I went through these 3 things in that 1 year. And then a friend of mine for 20 plus years just stopped talking to me out the blue.
That literally happened to me this year. A friend of mine that I've known since I was 3 years old got upset with me about a Facebook post that I made. And I'm like, I've supported this friend like a sister. Like, this is somebody that I can say that I love. Like, I genuinely love.
Right.
I will stop what I'm doing for this person. And they used a Facebook post to distance themselves from me or get upset. And to their credit, maybe they're going through some, I don't know. I'll never forget, I picked up the phone and called. I was like, yo, what's all that shit you just commented? Like, you have my number.
Right,
We are
you could have
friends.
called me.
Our spouses know each other.
Right.
Like, I've been to your home. Like, what are you talking about? And cuss me out. And I'm just like, okay. But then my wife was just like, well, man, maybe she was never really for you. Maybe she really wasn't fucking with you like that the whole time. Like, or maybe she's just going through something, but it's up to you to decide what you think it was. But only you gonna know that answer because y'all have known each other for damn near 40 years.
Right. Yeah, man. Between that and then I had another friend where I just had to really realize that you was never really my friend. I benefited you. And then another friend, same thing. I thought we were friends, but I realized that you being my friend changed everybody's perception about you.
What does that mean?
Meaning, when people looked at you and like, oh, how are you friends with so-and-so? Because they're like this. They don't talk to people. They're rude. They always got an attitude. But when they realized that I was friends, I'm like, I don't experience that with them. I'm like, they're from a certain area. They do kind of carry themselves a little differently. But, me and her are cool. So then they gave her a chance because I'm now your friend.
Oh, you vouching for somebody.
I'm vouching.
They not standing on business.
And so, but when it came down to some real things in life, then you're not who you said you were to me. You're not. And so for me, I'm forgiving. Jesus said, you keep turning the cheek. You turn the cheeks and I'll turn the cheeks. I'll let you make it.
I got 2 cheeks to turn and I'm going to bust you in the shit after that. Like, you know what I'm saying? My mom always told us, don't throw the first lick. You know what I'm saying? But throw the last one. So
Listen,
I'm all out of cheeks.
I'm here for that. I'm not going to throw the first one, but don't start none, won't be none. Yeah. And I had a friend that used to tell me, ain't no killer, but don't push me.
Don't push me,
Don't
man.
try me. I'm not the one nor the two.
My partner say, hey, if you can't swim, you better not jump in this water.
Yeah, not at all. So it's like when I start to really just take account who was really in my life because they wanted to be in my life and they were for me in general, no matter what, I realized I really don't have any friends. And then I had to be okay with that.
My uncle used to say, if you have one friend, that's good. If you have 2 friends, that's extraordinary.
Right.
I never knew what that meant until I got older. And I realized that at 2:52 in the morning, who can I call?
Right.
And say, hey, I need you to get up out of your bed and come here now. Who can I call and say, I need you to hop on a plane and come here now? That list is short.
Slimmed. Right now,
it's short.
I don't know if I really have anybody like that. So I have been asking God and been praying for new friends, real friends.
Yeah.
And, and that's a whole nother thing. But it was like when I realized and I had to really take account for that. And I had to hold myself responsible. Man. There's no point in me holding you responsible for being who you are. I just didn't believe you. I gave you.
This is therapy. Like, where do I cash app you from?
My cash app is on the
all jokes aside, this has literally been what has been revealed to me this year, 2023. Like, Tim, and somebody told me, Tim, rotten fruit will fall off a tree by itself.
Right.
You don't even have to shake.
You don't even have to try.
You don't even have to do anything. And I took a step back from a lot of things with my mom being sick to see who was really there for me. Not, I grade people. I judge. People say you shouldn't judge. Says don't judge unless you willing to be judged back.
Right.
So I'm a judger. I take score, not to punish people, but to understand that if I don't realize who you are, if you've shown me who you are 20 times and I'm still keep coming back to you, then that's a me problem.
Yeah.
And my wife, shout out to my wife, She's the one. She's the exact opposite. Like my wife give you one time to burn her,
said,
and then she'll forgive you, and then she might let you come back in the fold, but she got the highs and the stiff arm up.
You got the outer circle.
You
now.
got to prove yourself
Right.
beyond to get back over here because she's not going through that. But it's real what you said. Like I'm going to run that clip over and over and over. You have to acknowledge the role that you play when it comes to enabling people or not accepting who people are to you. Because since I've stepped away and walked away from those relationships that I clung to, I have met so many people, including yourself, that have enriched my life in ways that I could never imagine simply by finding that commonality. And I can't steal this quote. However you feel about this man is on you. But Charleston White said this. He said, stop focusing on your people and start focusing on your kind.
Right.
And when he said that, that was the most profound thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Like the last decade, I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars putting together trainings, traveling, doing everything I could to help my people. And what I realized is that it doesn't matter what color I am. Just because a person is the same color as me don't mean they gonna fuck with me like that.
No, not
they don't
at all.
want to. Maybe in their life, hey, I don't need your help.
Right.
So I start focusing on my kind, Michelle. And when I tell you, when I shifted the focus on my kind, it was like the floodgates open. How many people I started seeing who were already in my life that was just waiting on me to get up off that bullshit.
And it's funny because I believe that wholeheartedly. They say people may really, there's people out there waiting for you to get your stuff together on the level they know that you're capable of before they'll even help you. And I'm realizing that because for a while I put my own self in a box because I'm just an athlete. And there's I feel like I've lacked certain experiences because I've been in this world for so long, and I did that to myself, and I have to take that. But I always felt like, okay, they're business people, but they are waiting for me. They want to hear what I'm doing. They're ready to support me. They just like, Michelle, just get your stuff together. Outline this. Organize this. Get your messaging down.
I just talked to my boy. Me and my boy, we went out to a happy hour the other day, and we went and grabbed something to eat afterwards. He said, one of his things is like, Tim, he wants this, all black utopia. You know how we are. We just love your people. Yeah. And I've explained to him, I said, bro, black owned does not mean black only. Yeah. You can't expect for everyone to have a certain skill set or even access to things if that's not the history of our people. Right. And he has a person in his life, a white guy, that has just really, really, really been just pouring into him like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. But his pride won't let him ask that guy because I don't want him to think I'm coming and using him. I said, bro, you thinking like a street nigga right now. That's what a street nigga would say. A person that understands relationships understands that this is leverage. There's something that I do very well that he can't do. And there's something that he does very well. He needs me just as much as I need him. He needs me as much as I need him. So if he's extending his hand and saying, you got my number, what are you waiting for? Why would you sit over here and struggle when there's somebody literally like, well, I don't know, man. For a long time, I just thought, I don't want nobody to be able to say they helped me. We the only people that do that.
We the only people that do that for good cause, for a lot of reasons.
For a lot of good reasons.
I'm not gonna.
We done been thrown on the bus. But we got access to shit now.
We do, but there's still that thing in the back of our mind that reminds us every day, but we're black.
That trauma.
You're right. The trauma. Yeah. It's always going to be there. I could still walk into a room full of white people and be the only black person, and I'm still going to be very cautious that I'm the only black person in the room.
I'm walking out, I'll be like, here we go.
No matter what I do, I'm going to stick out. You're going to always have
because you're tall and you wear heels. So
listen,
when I took a picture with her, I told her, you are not going to look taller than me in this picture.
I had my boots on.
You had your boots on.
I said,
you will absolutely not be taller than me in this photo.
Look, I'm taller than him while we sitting down.
No, that's real. That's real. I want to circle back to the pandemic. Okay. Because I'm on the record for having an entire leadership team at Keller Williams quit because I called out some of the bullshit specifically that happens from a racial aspect. Everybody knows during the pandemic, we were shut down, the George Floyd stuff happened, and racial tension was at probably the highest it's been since the civil rights era. Right. Why? Because everyone has a voice now through social media. And so we had a meeting, and shout out to my office manager. Brian, man. Brian tried, a white dude. He really tried to bridge the gap and say, let's have this conversation. And it was all the leaders, they call the ALC, at Keller Williams, the leadership team. I'm the only black person on the ALC. And everybody else was, they did not agree with anything I had to say. They couldn't see the fact that what I was saying was like, hey, we don't focus on the black home. We don't focus on black home buyers. We don't focus on anything in this office that's dealing with black people. You have your token black people, which is me and a few other people.
Right.
And outside of that, y'all don't do that. I said, and we live in Dallas-Fort Worth, which Dallas-Fort Worth isn't a black city. But there are a lot of black professional people who live in the area where our office was that could benefit from this shit. And I said, whether you agree with what's going on with George Floyd or not, because most of them thought that he deserved to get choked out. That's a whole nother story for another day. But I stood on it like, yo, I disagree with you, and here's why. And I was very professional, very nice. I didn't cuss. I put my master's degree to work. And the next day, every single one of them bastards left the office. Now think about that. You're willing to leave an office because you don't agree with one black person calling you out on some things that you could do better socially.
A hit dog will holler.
A hit dog. I'm talking about, and these wasn't your country, this ain't your country, white folks. These are your well-to-do white people. Mm-hmm. You had, older white people, younger white person, a gay white male was on it. I at least thought the gay white dude was going to jump in and be like, he's got a point, guys. He was the first one to leave.
He was like, sir, I'm white first.
I ain't signed up for this nigga shit. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, and then some of them remained my friends on Facebook. So, a few of them didn't. One lady donated to me. I think she donated to my mentoring program, and I sent her money back. But it's like, ooh. I don't know. No, we don't take it. No, we don't need your money. No.
Okay.
I don't need your money. Nah, I done put up over $100,000 more than that for the mentoring program. I don't need your little funky $100. If you can't even acknowledge the fact of what I'm saying as a person, as a man, as a human being, everyone left the office.
Yeah.
So I know what you're saying about those tough conversations, because in those conversations, there was some people like Tim, like, I know what you're doing for your community. I really want to help you, but I don't know how, because I can't articulate what I want to say. I'm a white person, you know what I'm saying? Or a Hispanic person. And I don't know your struggle, but I understand that the plight of disenfranchisement is wrong.
Right.
So how can I support that without being upfront? Because I don't want to look like I'm just jumping on a bandwagon, and I don't want to be the token white person. And I respected that shit, But some people weren't willing to have that conversation.
Yeah,
and that showed me a lot.
They're not. And I mean, it's so many things that goes into all of this, right? But
it's Pandora's box,
it is, because it's like we have this history where you have this group of people who were treated so bad and less than for so long, but then you have other groups of people who are able to come in and do well.
That's systematic.
I know.
That's systematic, specifically black immigrants.
Yeah.
Because I always see these little conversations online where it's always a Nigerian person. I don't know what that's about. Nigerians, I don't know what it is about y'all comparing yourselves to black people and making it seem like y'all just so much better than us. But what you have to understand, there's a book. I'm going to post that book. A lot of people send their best. Getting up and leaving a country to come over here, Americans, the American who leaves and migrates somewhere else, that's the best. You always send your best. When you go to some of these countries, it is not a representation of you.
Right.
You're the person that's carrying your family. You're carrying that load. So why is it that you have to come over here and shit on us when y'all come over here? Many people who come over here, not just Nigerian Americans, I'm just using y'all because I know a lot of Nigerians and we have this conversation. Mm-hmm. Any immigrant class that comes over here gets certain protections and certain access to capital. We're seeing it right now. The people that's coming from the border getting $10,000, $15,000 per person. They're getting free housing. They're getting food stamps. They're getting free education. We've never been given that.
We don't get that.
We've never received the reparation for the things that have been done to us. So why would you sit up here and try to compare when you have hundreds of years of trauma of people trying to get over it? And I know that sounds like I'm talking out both sides, but here's my thing. If we can put time and effort into some of the bullshit we focus on, we can put time and effort into pulling ourselves out of that and creating our own lane. I'm going to always stand on that. But people that come over here have more access.
They do, because the Black American is still looked at as less than.
Oh, yep.
We're still looked at as less than. So if you're African, they're like, oh, Africans, they got this. They're hard workers. Most of them come over here, become doctors and lawyers, and
that's by design.
And
my Nigerian friend explained that to me.
Yeah,
one of my line brothers. Both my line brothers were Nigerian, and so they explained like that. And there's a book. I'm gonna post a book in the notes that I had to read in grad school where it literally showed how there were 8 Nigerians. 4 of them went to England, and 4 of them came to America in the 60s. The first wave of Nigerian Americans came to America in the 60s. People don't know that. And then they got an education, went back to Nigeria, shared what they learned, and then Nigerians start migrating over. So many of our friends are literally first-generation Americans, right? Yeah. So what they don't understand is that when they come over here, they get access to certain programs, capital, because they're an immigrant, which is okay. That's what America's all about. But then also, we don't get access to that stuff at all.
I'm going to take it a step further. When you grow up in a country where everybody looks like you, your confidence is different.
It's different. It's so different.
Your confidence is different because you're not singled out. You're not told that the way you look is less than, that you don't look right. You don't quite fit this. So when you walk over here, you walk over with a little bit more, I know I look good no matter what, because when you live around people who look like you and where you're normal, you can have a different swag to yourself.
That's a fact.
Over here, we're not.
They let you know who you are over here.
Exactly. We're not growing up like that.
Many of them come over here and like, what the hell? I've never experienced.
They come over here. They're like, racism. We thought y'all was lying. Like, no, it's different. Have you been to Africa?
So I haven't been to Africa. You know what? I'm gonna say something. Okay. My sister just got back. She went to Africa twice this year.
Yeah.
So I haven't been. I'll eventually go. It's not on my top list. I'm not, and I know it may sound bad, and I'm gonna tell y'all why.
It needs to be on your top list.
I knew you were gonna say that, but I want to conclude the point we were talking about. Like, a lot of them become doctors and lawyers. My friend was telling me his dad was a doctor. All of his siblings went to medical school or some type of school, like their engineering school. My other friend, his parents were engineers. They all went to engineering school. And what that book that I read taught was that many of them specifically pointed out being medical, engineering, and I think it was something, I can't think of it, STEM fields, essentially.
Right, yeah.
Where they all came over and they would not, they didn't allow their family members to get any degrees outside of those fields because they paid the most. So if that's the standard for the person that's coming over, that's going to be what we see with our peer groups.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Which comes from having a whole different way of growing up in a whole totally different mindset, because you grew up knowing that's the plan.
That's the plan. And when you talk about the Great Migration, like I studied that, the people that left Mississippi, the people that left Louisiana, many of our family, if you're from California, your people from Louisiana, right? Is that a fair statement?
No, actually, no. I only lived in California because my dad played football.
So then your dad was
from Texas.
All right, my bad.
And then from before that was Alabama.
All my family in California, or by way of Louisiana.
Yeah.
If you from certain parts of New York, you got people in Florida. You live certain parts of Alabama, you got your people from Detroit. Like, you can literally track black migration from the train.
Right.
The people that migrated were very similar to the people that come over here from different countries.
Yeah.
They were the well-to-do people. They were the educated people. They were the people with the money, the access, and they would get
you can't even. Well, I won't even just say that. They were the ones who was willing to make the sacrifice to go.
Say it again.
And that's where it all really starts, because sometimes some of them didn't have the resources, didn't have the education, but they had the will, they had the fight, they had the mindset that I'm going to change where I'm at. Something has to change. Something has to be different. I'm going to be that change,
and that really 1%. That's 1% of society.
Yeah.
But what happens is a lot of people come over here and see us as black people and think that we all lazy, we all this. No, that's not how the game go. And so, I say that to say, when you would look, if you read these stories about Detroit, Chicago, all these places where we migrated to, we sent our best. And they got there and they still got treated like a nigga.
Yeah.
California is one of the most racist states in the nation. Like, the way that their housing is for black people, it's very systematically screwed up for black people. Chicago has some of the worst housing laws and discrimination. It's one of the most segregated cities in the nation. Chicago is like the most segregated city in the nation.
No, the most segregated place in the whole U.S. is Sunday.
Talk about that.
Because churches are so segregated.
Oh, churches,
like if you want to talk like everything we do is segregated. Everything we do, where they say we have to live. Because you can't afford it. Have you seen that report that came out the other day about Navy Federal?
I saw that.
And I was just like,
what you think about that?
I ain't gonna lie, I didn't read all up in it.
Yeah.
I saw the headlines and then a little bit of conversation. If it's true, it's unfortunate, because they're saying a black family or a black person that makes $140K does not qualify for a house, but somebody who's white making 60 does.
So first things first, national banks will always discriminate. Like, we need to get that through our head as black people. Every major bank is going to discriminate, no matter how you look at it. Now, I wanted to see more. I'm not that guy, y'all. Y'all know I'm riding for my people. But one thing that I teach is credit.
Right.
Credit is the greatest manipulator of race. Now, instead of saying, I don't want you here because you're black, they'll just discriminate against your credit. Credit is used for jobs. Mm-hmm. It's literally used for everything you do. And most black people don't understand credit. And so that's one thing we teach in our program.
Why don't we understand credit?
Because we weren't taught it, because we never needed it. Because when you think about black people that actually made really good money, a lot of times they had good union jobs, whether it be the government, the post office, GM plants, like we made money, but we were never taught how to spend that money, use that money. So one thing I give kudos to my mom is she taught us about credit. Like I was 18 with a 750 credit score. My son has a 700 credit score. He's 13 because you can add kids to your credit cards. We'll talk about that on another show. Like I learned credit when I worked in finance. I was an underwriter for auto loans. So I realized that you and I can walk into the same dealership, get the same exact car, same year, same make, same model, same mileage, and my payment will be $300 more than yours if your credit is better.
Right.
But the person selling you the car, they don't have an incentive to tell you, hey, go home, open up a credit card, and the credit cards you do have, pay them down below 50%, and your credit score will jump 200 points. Why would they tell you that when the commission's right in front of them? Right. So now you go 5 years and you pay an extra $17,000 for the exact same car I have. That $17,000 is wealth. That can get you something, right? But we have to want that. We have to say, I'm going to take 30 days. I'm going to take 60 days. I'm going to take 90 days to learn this. And that's what I've done. I teach people about this all the time because then you can borrow money with low or zero interest.
Right.
Then you can get into your insurance. Your car insurance is going to be cheaper when you have better credit. Your interest rates are going to be cheaper. Rental properties or even an apartment, they check your credit. And many times they won't let you in because of your credit. But the people that are getting denied are not white people. They tend to look like us, or they tend to be of a different hue. Mm-hmm. At what point in the game do we say, oh, I got to play their game and learn it, and then I can make the changes like they've done in basketball?
Yeah, that's the thing, which I think we always do have to learn the game. My mama said, hey, you have to learn how to play the game. You have to. Play the game to get what you want.
No, Michelle, I don't want to be no sellout. I want to keep it real because y'all niggas, y'all fake. See, you go in the room with them white folk and you shucking jive, I can go on the block still.
Yeah, and you're going to get locked up on the block. Listen, if I wanted to play football, I got to play by football rules to be on the field, right? I can't go get the ball, catch the ball, and then run wherever I want to and say I'm playing football. You need to let me play because I just need to play. You can't, right? I got the speed. Like, no, you have to play according to the rules if you want to play. So if you want to play the game and get the lower credit scores, and you have to figure out the rules. Now, there are a lot of us have figured out the rules. There's wealth growing in our community, but then guess what's happening?
Tell me.
The rules are changing.
The rules, the goalposts will always be moved. That's why you have to stay in the game.
You have to.
And I tell people all the time, like I'm on the record saying there's no such thing as gentrification. That clip is going viral everywhere. People say, what do you mean? The government runs, highways through it, and they break it down to me. And I say, I hear that. I get it. That's what they're supposed to do. That's the game. Mm-hmm. We have to know how to play the game. Right. There's a redevelopment. If you're selling off your parents' properties, or if you don't have a desire to live in a certain area because they've deemed it as a bad area, you're participating in the game.
And you are, because you're not. The cycle repeats itself. Yeah. We know Oak Cliff used to be white. Now Oak Cliff is mostly black and Hispanic. And then guess what's happening?
It's a hearttebeat.
It's just going to keep going back and around. And so, but you got to be able to have. You got to be able to just stay. Like I'm like certain like right now. Like if I wish I would have done what I originally wanted to do. I wanted to buy a house in Oak Cliff. Okay. I'm not from Oak Cliff. I'm from Oak Villa, Texas. There was nobody.
Oak Villa, not Oak Cliff.
No, yeah, a different O. But and people are like, why you want to live in Oak Cliff? I'm like, number one, the location, I can get everywhere easy. 10 minutes. What? I can get everywhere. That's why I moved east out.
I moved back to where I grew up at, right? Because I can hop on 30 and literally be anywhere in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. So I wanted to move to Oak Cliff, but I'm like, well, y'all know it used to be white. It's going to be white again. And then the property value in Oak Cliff is going to go straight up. And so people are like, but and then I was looking at South Dallas. But then at the time I was like, it was going to be my first home and I needed I had to get out of my parents' house, and I didn't want to pay. I wasn't paying $1,000 for rent. I just wasn't doing it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to get a house, and so I bought something that was ready and that I could just go ahead and I regret it. I should have done what I really wanted to do because I knew, and I know the house I was going to get was like a 6-bedroom house.
How much was it then?
2 stories.
How much?
It was not livable. It was $125,000.
How much?
Somebody
is it now?
bought it and had sat on it. And almost got $1 million for it.
Oh, you said they bought it? Y'all know where I'm going with this, y'all who listen. And they sat on it.
Sat on it.
Meaning they didn't do anything with it. And then what happened? This is where again?
In Oak Cliff.
Okay. So I always tell a story about a property me and my wife bought for $20,000 in South Dallas. During around 2006 to 2016 to 19, I was making, really 16 to 18, 15 to 18, I was making a push for black people to buy properties in Oak Cliff, South Dallas,
By Fair Park.
Pleasant Grove, and West Dallas.
Yep.
You know what they said? Don't nobody want to live there. No. I didn't say live there. I said,
Said
buy.
buy.
Okay? Just buy it. Fast forward, me and my wife buy this house for 20 grand. We gut it completely, Michelle. Sat on it for 3 years. Every year the property doubled. Every year. That house is worth $257,000 right now. We have a tenant inside of it. We put about $65,000, $70,000 worth of renovation over the years into it. And it's cash flowing us 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
It's paid for.
And
It's done.
that's not the only one. But I was telling you guys, do this. Y'all say, how you retire? I gave
That's
y'all the
how you
blueprint.
retire.
So now when it comes back around, you need to at least get you something because your first property, whether you're just living in it or not, is going to take you to that next level. But you have to understand it. But I wish you would have bought because let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. What Jesus said, I tell you what. Yeah.
So I'm the point that I'm at in life right now. I am rebuilding. I ain't gonna lie, I am rebuilding. But I know what I need to rebuild for and how I need to do it. I got to be very strategic.
Yeah.
So even if I make good money, I can't live like I got money, y'all. Why? Because I gotta save.
Wealth is quiet. Rich is flashy.
Wealth is quiet. And people don't understand that. As soon as somebody get money, this is why I always tell people, when you grow up in a certain type of way, you recognize who new money is and what's old money is. And so when people come in the room and you got on Louis Vuitton belt and your purses and you got this type of watch on, you got all the trendy stuff, I already know what you're about. And I'm gonna be, and I ain't gonna lie, I might be judgy sometimes. I'm gonna be looking like, I'm gonna be mindful of you because you hustling. You want people to know that you done did something with yourself. There's a reason why you walking in the room look like that, especially when you didn't have money, didn't look like that. Now there are some people who have just always been into fashion and they always been flashy, right? And I get that. But then all of a sudden you want people to know you got money. You want people to know you made it. You want to look a certain type of way. Look what I can afford. What attention do you still need?
There's a guy, I can never remember his last name. Y'all got to start putting in the comments. Michael something or another. He plays for the Denver Nuggets, real tall guy. He was their draft pick. He's been in the league about 4 years now. When he got into the league, he bought his mom a Ford Flex SUV. They clowned him so bad. They, meaning the black community, black Twitter, which black Twitter hasn't contributed shit to society. And y'all can say what y'all want.
It's just entertaining.
It's just people get on there ranting all day. Anytime I hear black Twitter, I tune out because they haven't built a damn thing. All right, and you can at me. I ain't even on there. You can at me on Instagram if you want that smoke.
You know it's not Twitter no more.
That's how far along I've been behind. But check this out. He bought his mom a Ford Flex. And I was like, he gets it. And they were just talking so bad. And I said, well, what are all the basketball players who bought their moms Benzes and houses? How are they doing right now? Because that's a 3-year career. Right. If you're good. And that's if you don't go overseas. Now, my partner been playing for 20 years overseas, and he's killing it. But he came back home and bought a house for cash. Right? His parents still live in the same neighborhood where he grew up at. Right. They have wealth. He's not walking around trying to be someone he's not because rich is flashy, wealth is quiet. And we hustle for the cherry on top instead of the cake. That's not saying you can't have nice things. My wife still drives her Honda Civic around.
But the question is, why? Why do you need it to look like that?
I mean, some people have it. I ain't tripping on it. But like I said, it's got to be the cherry on top, not the cake.
Yeah. Well, I guess where I'm going with it too is sometimes we are doing stuff to still fill the void that we have on the inside of healing that you haven't done yet. And so now you got money, you want people to you want them to believe that you're good, but you're still crying for attention. You're still missing something. So we have to look at our actions and the things that we do and be honest with ourselves. Why are we doing this? Because I've been in that situation when I started making money. I could have bought me a foreign car like all my other track friends did. But I was like, but really my heart was set on the Ford Edge. My daddy played football and we drove a Suburban. We had one of those old school vans with the TVs in the inside. And my daddy drove.
Not the conversion van, my grandpa.
What? We had one that had a little sink in it.
Yeah.
Like, you lay the back seat into a bed. We done drove from Texas to California.
No, that's my grandpa.
Love that van. But we drove our cars so the wheels fall off. That's how I grew up. And so I bought a car that I knew that was going to be good on gas, that could last for a long time, and I can get it fixed anywhere. I said, because if I get hurt one year and I got an Audi or a Mercedes Benz, it's going to cost me an arm and a leg to get it fixed.
Can't rotate the tires on them, so you got to buy new tires every year.
Every time.
And that's
then
$1,500-$1,600 off the rip.
Yes, and then getting the headlight going to cost me $2,000. So it was like, let me get something I know that I most likely can afford. Y'all, I still have my Ford Edge to this day. It has 275,000 miles, and I'm like, Lord, please give me another 2 years so I could buy another.
So it's
car.
funny because people who watch this know, the first thing I did when I started eliminating and increasing by decrease was I sold my Lexus, and I got rid of my Lexus, bought an old Toyota that was 4 different color blacks. The hood flew off one time when I was driving it, like it was raggedy. Shout out to my uncle, man, rest in peace. He took me to the junkyard and got me a new hood.
Right,
but. I would never forget pulling up to my tenant's house or pulling up to the bank with my tenants to pay rent. And I had this one tenant that would pull up in his S550 Benz, Gucci'd out. This dude was late on rent every month. Shout out to him. I ain't gonna say your name. I know you're gonna see this though. Man, I mean, his late fees paid for so many groceries for us.
right.
But you would have thought he was a landlord and I was a tenant. And so as time went on, me and my wife sat down and her car was paid off, her Honda. And so I said, well, we need to get another vehicle. So we ended up buying my truck. 2016, we bought that truck. We had it paid off in a year and a half. Then, I've driven that thing till the wheels fall off. So then finally this year, she was like, you know what? Or 2 years ago, she said, you know what? I think I want a new car. She said, I can use the Civic to get back and forth because it's a 2013. But I want something for us to drive. If we want to get on the road, something more reliable. So we bought another car. But we ain't paying for that car. The assets pay for that car.
Right.
Like, we're not going into our pocket to pay that loan.
Yeah.
And it's going to be paid off in a year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's like, I try not to shit on people for having nice things because I like nice things, but those things don't define me.
It don't define you, and it shouldn't define you. And like for me, I ain't gonna lie, there's been times when I go to meetings or I go to events and I'll pull up in my little old 2011 Ford Edge, and it can feel a little embarrassing sometimes because I don't look like what people think I should look like.
And that matters sometimes.
Like, and it does matter. And in my mind, I got a game plan for that because there's some places and spaces you do need to show up looking a certain type of way.
You do. And that's why we bought that. That was another reason why we got the Lexus.
Yeah.
Too, it's like, it's not the flash. It's a nice car, but certain places that we go, I want to pull up in that car.
Yeah, and that says a lot. But you have a game plan for that.
Game plan.
You have a game plan, it's strategic. 100%. And so like at this point, I realized, okay,
it's not my identity.
Yes, it's not your identity. I'm not putting everything I got in this car and I got to always have a nice car every single day. Yeah. Like, no, I understand this car has a role and I got to do it because this is where I'm going with this, right? And so now growing up and realizing what car notes do, realizing what interest rates are, and how I'm wasting money by putting everything on credit and having all these interest rate and paying double over time for something that if I just plan for and save for a good year, I could pay in cash or at least cut that interest rate down. Now I know, okay, when I go into this next situation, I have a better plan that's going to save me money at the end. I'm not just spending money to have this lifestyle. So I'm being very strategic. So, and I can't care what other people say.
This is so refreshing. It's refreshing because this is the culture that we're building. Yeah, we're not telling you not to have nice shit. We're telling you hustle for the cake, not the cherry on top, and let the cake pay for the cherries. Situational awareness. I know when I'm going, and I'll be honest with you, when I'm going to go get a bid for something, I always drive a Civic. I don't want nobody to know. Yeah,
Right.
I'm gonna pull up in that Civic every time I got to get a bid on something, right?
Right.
When I'm pulling up to an event where I need to show up, I would drive the Lexus, right? But I'm not in a Lexus all day, every day because look at me, I got a Lexus. And there's another car that I eventually want to get. Once I have a goal that I want to get something that'll probably sit in the garage on the weekends.
A Sunday car.
That Sunday car, but the assets are going to pay for that. That's just going to be a tax write-off.
Right.
We can talk about this all day long because I love the way this conversation is going, but let's wrap it up. I want to ask you something. And I ask this to everyone who sits in this chair. My favorite movie is Back to the Future, specifically Part 2. I love that series. Have you seen that before?
Yes, it's been a long time.
Okay. So Back to the Future Part 2, if y'all watch this, y'all know I got to always set it up so y'all can literally say this verbatim with me. Back to the Future 2, there's a character by the name of Biff. Biff gets into the DeLorean and he goes, hold on real quick, let me see. There we go. He gets into the DeLorean and he's in the future and he goes back to the past, gives himself a sports almanac that has every score of every sports outcome, up until 20, I think it's 15 or 16. And then he goes and he sees his younger self and he says, hey, dummy, I'm you from the future. Take this, it's going to change our life forever.
Right.
Flash forward, he goes back and he's a trillionaire. He's in control of everything. He's a really evil person. But, he was able to go and have a conversation with himself that changed his life. And then the whole episode, the whole movie Part 2 was just undoing that. If you, Michelle Carter, right now, and everything you know from life, relationships, sports, marriage, divorce, having a child, families, death, everything that you know, if you could go back to the University of Texas and you leaving the library late at night because you was having a study and it's just you walking down that hall and you see a familiar face and it's today, Michelle, what would you say to her back then? What's the advice you would give her right then in that moment that you feel like you would change your life forever?
I would tell myself, Michelle, shine brighter. Don't hold back and don't play small to make others feel comfortable. Make everybody uncomfortable.
Damn. Don't dim your light so that other people can shine. And make people uncomfortable. I'm in that space right now where I don't care about how comfortable you are. Like, this is my time. I've given my all and everything to everybody. This is Tim time. We going into the Mamba year, 24.
Is it 24?
We going into the Mamba year.
Listen.
And we about to get it. Like all the stuff that I could have done in the last decade. Because I ain't gonna lie, I did well. I retired at 37. I had a great 30s. But it was so unselfish. My 40s are gonna be selfish.
He said, I'm about to be selfish.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm transitioning everything now in my life to this podium concept because I actually lived a podium life. I received a gold medal. I stood on the highest spot on the podium. And so, but in order to be on a podium, you have to live life a certain type of way.
That's a fact.
You don't get to be average. You don't get to be normal. And there's been times in my life where I wanted to be normal, where I wanted to fit in, where I wanted to be like everybody else. I didn't want to stand out like a sore thumb everywhere that I went. But everywhere that I went, I stuck out like a sore thumb.
You have it. I explained it to my son.
Yeah.
The it factor, you can't measure it. You can't describe it. You can't explain it. But you know when a person has it.
Yep.
Because they walk into the room and everyone gravitates towards
Yeah.
it. They're the person that everyone's calling. They're the person that just changes a situation just by inserting themselves or being pulled into it. You have it. And that's a God-given thing. You're born with it. You can't learn it. You're born with it.
And you can't get rid of it.
You can't get rid of it.
But you spend so much time in your life trying to downplay it, trying to hide it, trying to dim it, because you're not ready for what you have to do to actually be who you are. And so I'm at a different stage in my life where I want to be all of who I am.
That's dope.
And then growing up, I'm just say how I really see it and believe it. Growing up Black, you're taught to dim down naturally, not for a lot of different reasons. And one of them is for safety.
That's a damn fact.
And so
that's why I always say we raise our girls and coddle our boys, because many times we don't want our boys to go out into the world, because when you walk out into the world, I always tell my son, you're not a cute kid anymore.
Right.
When we go to the grocery store, random people aren't talking about how cute you are. You have a little mustache. You're musty. You're tall. You know, you are a threat. So you need to start moving like a person, sadly, that is a threat. And you have to move a certain way because now you got eyes on you, not because you're great, but because it's some people just trying to knock you down.
Listen, I was 5'9" in the 3rd grade. With boobs and thighs, okay? So
shout out to my girl Marquita. I had a friend in the 5th grade, Marquita. She was tall as hell, and we joke about now, but that was an insecurity because she was a big girl.
Yeah,
right.
And there was nothing I could do about it. I couldn't. My daddy is a lineman. I got shoulders and thighs for days because of him.
Put a week on it,
right? But for a lot of different reasons, you can't play like all the other kids play because you're bigger, because you're going to hurt people. Yeah. You got to be careful. When I go into certain areas, people don't see me as a young child. They see me as a grown woman because I got hips, thighs, and boobs, and I carry myself a certain type of way. So there's certain things that I had to do for my own protection. But then when I get into certain rooms, I didn't know how to play because I'm like, but I am grown, but I'm the youngest. I got to be respectful of my elders. I got to do this. Do I say yes, ma'am? Like, so I'm playing all these things, and sometimes you just get confused. But now I'm like, you know what, Michelle? You played small long enough, and people don't even think I played small. I've played small for a long time.
I know what you feel.
And now I'm like, God has put me in a situation to where he's like, girl, if you don't do what I called you to do, if you don't be who I created you to be, you can't help what I've given you. I gave it to you for a reason, and I need you to do it.
I'm finna put an offering right now. Man, you preaching. Like, I've been showing my ass right now, but on social media specifically. I'm tired of dimming my light. Y'all about to get all this shine because you gonna hate on it either way. So you gonna either hate me or love me.
She said, hate on me, haters.
Yeah.
Just hate. That's what
and
it's okay. Because what happens is when your light shines bright, you expose what others lack, what they don't have, or the integrity and character they don't have.
Their true intentions are exposed when you do what you need to do. If you're pacifying people that ain't for you, you just dragging, you just delaying the inevitable. Yep. Because they be waiting on a reason to make it seem like it's you. And then you pacify. And I finally woke up to it about, I would probably say during the pandemic, I finally was like, you know what? It ain't me. Like, I'm the person that's always hopping on the plane to go visit people. I'm the person who's always doing stuff. Right. Like, y'all don't fuck with me like that unless you see a benefit. So I tell you what, I'm good. Like, don't, if you come around and show me who you really are and you show that you're making an effort, you take a step, I'll take a step.
Right.
But if you're not taking those steps, homeboy, we're not walking nowhere.
Yeah.
I'm not pulling you.
I read the book called Who Not How, and the guy was doing, I listened to the audiobook. I ain't gonna say I read the book, I did the audiobook.
You read the book. That's reading. That's a reading for a millennial.
So in the middle of the chapters, he did like an interview with the author and the guy the author talked about in the book. And so one of the things that he said, the reason why he has one of the most powerful networks in the world is because he made sure that everybody in his network is a benefit to him and he's a benefit back.
That's dope.
It's not one-sided. He said if he comes into it, he meets you and he feels like he don't have anything that can really truly help you, he's not going to cultivate that. He said because he don't want it to be one-sided where he's draining resources for you and he can't give you anything.
That's dope.
And so I looked at and I took inventory. And I know I have so much to give. It hurt my feelings. I was really, truly hurt.
Like hurt.
Because I really do truly care for people. I care for strangers. I don't care giving.
I gotta ask you, and I know some of y'all don't subscribe this, but I don't care. What's your sign?
Libra.
Okay, you balanced.
Yeah.
I get it. You balanced.
Yeah. So, you acting crazy over here. I'm gonna calm everything down on this side. Like that. I'm fair.
Yeah.
I'm fair all the way around.
Big-hearted too.
Yeah.
I don't know a Libra who's not big-hearted. I call her my sister. Rashonda is a Libra. She's the most biggest, hardest person. She will give you the clothes off her back, but she will beat your ass.
If you
call Rashonda, she gonna probably watch Rashonda will beat your ass.
Run up, get done up.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're gonna end right there because we're not promoting violence. Listen, Michelle, Where can we find you and what you got coming up?
Yes, you can find me on social media at Shot Diva on everything pretty much. My website is shotdiva.com. You can find a lot of information about that on me on either one of those two sites. So y'all, I have a lot going on. Look out for my nonprofit, One Golden Shot. You can make donations there. I have my girls camp, You Throw Girls Sports Confidence Camp, where we build up female athletes to be their very best on and off the field. And I have a lot of entrepreneurial things like, I'm coming hard for 2024.
You gave
That's
me.
okay.
You told me about it like the day before, and we had something else to do. But I was literally trying to move things around to get there, and then I saw my boy D Walk there.
Yeah.
So D Walk and I sit on the board at the T-ball.
Oh, really?
So he just came to my event 2 weeks ago at T-ball. Shout out to D Walk. D Walk. Oh man, D Walk made me cry.
Really?
Yeah, at the event. So I cried. I've never cried in public before, ever. And D-Walk said something to me, and I was like, man, let's go. When I met D-Walk, it was a weird time in my life. I was taking care of my mom. I just had a lot going on. And me and him were having a conversation about race. And, man, I just kind of snapped on him, like, man, what are you I snapped on him. He was just like, what in the world? But he never tripped on me, right?
Right.
So then, fast forward, we'd all go support each other's event. And he was like one of the first people to show up at my event, and he said, Tim, I've never seen you in this light.
Right.
Like you have so many different hats that you wear, but I've never seen this side of you. And I had to like acknowledge in that moment, like, yeah, man, when you met me at a very dark place. Mm-hmm. And I used to think about it. Like, I remember when I snapped on him a little bit, I was like, man, why did I snap on this dude? But I was going through so much at the time, and rather just saying, man, we can agree, disagree. Like, I just like, man, that's what's wrong with everybody. And then after that, I felt so foolish. Like every time I would see him, there was this sense of embarrassment that I had because I kind of snapped on that dude for no reason. But he just kept his humble. He's a humble dude. Yeah. He didn't judge me for it. Mm-hmm. He didn't say F Tim. He always gave me congratulations when I did something. And that was an example that I needed to see. Like, one, show people grace.
Right.
2, you never know what somebody's going through.
Right.
And 3, just because somebody's going through something today doesn't mean that's who they are forever.
Right.
And so by him showing me that grace, I had to say to myself, I got to start extending that grace, not to the people who I just know aren't good for me, but to the people who may be going through something. Maybe you can just say, okay, if they're not fooling with me now, maybe it's something going on. Let's circle back. But the circle back is where I can start determining who you are. So shout out to D Walk. I'm going to give him his flowers.
Yes. So him and I tried to do some stuff in the past, and it just got weird because I was in a weird part of my life. Yeah. It was before I won gold. And, being who I am and how I grew up, I got to be kind of mindful of everybody.
Absolutely.
And so I was like, bro, I don't know what you doing here, but I'm good. But then we circled back around and we had been talking, and I was like, listen, I got to make some changes now. So I came up with this event, and we decided to partner because I'm like, listen, we keep talking about these ideas and we don't take action. Yeah. Like, we're encouraging other people. We help other people take action, but we're not taking action. And so that's what we decided to start doing stuff. And then I said, I want to be intentional about where I go, who I meet, who I connect with. Because if we can't make each other better, then we can't spend time together.
That's a good brother, man. He's a really good brother. I got to give it to him. But you guys, that's it. It's your man, Tim Jackson. This is the No More OGs podcast. Like, follow, subscribe. Be sure to share this with everyone you know. Make sure that you follow Michelle. Like, follow, subscribe. Share what she's doing. Look into what she's doing, specifically if you have a daughter, specifically if you're here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This is someone that you need to know. Y'all know how I am. I know Michelle is a gold medalist, and she has a real blue check. But I don't see her as a celebrity. I don't see her as somebody that looks down and says, y'all good over there, I'm over here. This is someone that is here with us. This is someone who will give their time, effort, and energy as much as you'll show up. So show up for people like this, all right? Well, that's all I got for you today. This is the No More OGs podcast. Be sure to get the documentary Tim Jackson Presents How to Kill a Black Man, and I will see you soon.